Welcome to Eagle's Concept Learning Room. In this video, we'll take you through Senior Secondary Mathematics, Trigonometry. If you are watching us for the first time, please click on the subscribe button so that you can have full access to our videos. And don't forget to like us on our Facebook page at Eagle's Concept Academy. So, what does trigonometry involve? So in this video, we are going to teach you about trigonometric ratios, sine rule, sketching the graph of y is equals to cos x or y is equals to sine x, also known as cos theta or sine theta. Then we'll do cosine rule. We'll also do shortest distance and the area of a non-right angled triangle. Then we'll also solve some equations involving trigonometric equations. So before we can just go straight into trigonometry, we are going to refresh our minds about Pythagoras theorem. All right. So we remember that Pythagoras theorem was a method or a theorem that was used to find the sides of a right angled triangle. So this is a right angled triangle and it has a right angle here. And we can remember from our Pythagoras theorem that we have got the longest side here right at the opposite of the right angle, which is called the hypotenuse. Then these two sides here, they are interchangeably called the adjacent sides. So when you're finding the longest side here, you are going to say h squared is equals to a squared plus b squared. If you are finding any of the shorter sides, then you are going to say h squared minus b squared. It means you find a squared. If you want to find b, then you're going to say h squared minus a squared. All right, so this was just a brief summary about the Pythagoras theorem because we'll keep on building on and on. So that is how it is done. And we won't show much examples because this is grade 9 work. Rather, let's go and proceed to the next thing. So now here we are saying it was just solving the sides. How about the angles? So to answer the question of how about the angles, that is where now trigonometric ratios will come in. And these trigonometric ratios, they can be memorized by using this famous word SohCahToa. All right, so the word SohCahToa, these are the three trig ratios that come up. So this, the first three, the next three there, and also we have the last three. So these are the ones that have been summarized here. So we have the Soh, Ka, and Toa. All right, so now let's look at this triangle that is here right here. We know that this is hypotenuse. This hypotenuse, it does not change the name no matter what. But these two here at Pythagoras theorem level, they are just called the adjacent sides. But when it comes to the trigonometric ratios, when we are now growing, we will have these guys interchanging names. Why? Because if you are looking at this angle here, then where this angle is facing, that becomes the opposite adjacent. Then the other one remains the adjacent. If again we decide we want to look at this angle, so with respect to this angle x here, then this one here is going to be opposite adjacent, and this one will remain what? Adjacent. So that is the whole idea about this one. So these, they obtain their names by virtue of the angle being considered. So with respect to this angle, this one becomes the opposite. With respect to this angle, this one becomes the opposite. So if one becomes the opposite, then the other one automatically becomes the adjacent side. All right, so now what do these trigonometric ratios mean? So this S here, it means sine opposite over adjacent. So this is the one here. Sine theta simply means an unknown angle. So sine theta is equals to opposite over hypotenuse. All right. Then also we have cos is cosine here is equals to adjacent over hypotenuse. So A for adjacent, H for hypotenuse, O for opposite adjacent. Then here we have tan. This one means tan. So this is the formula that we have here. And you have to know about these formulas. Just ignore these ones for now. All we are interested in is these ones that are here. All right, so we have formed these formulas. Now, one might be wondering, what are these tan, cos, and sine that have been talked about? Okay, so these are the ones that we have shown here on the calculators. All right, so as you can see, these are the two famous calculators in the world. So we have this Casio here, the standard Casio, and I would advise, if it's for the exam, you can either go for a Casio or a Sharp. But myself, I'm a fan of Casio. All right, so here, as you can see, this SIN here, that is the sine, that is the cos, and that is a tan here. All right, so these are the buttons that we are talking about. As we begin to make some calculations on the calculator, these are the things that we'll be talking about. Okay, all right, then here, now, there's also what we call, when you're finding angles, there's what we call the sine inverse, cos inverse, and the tan inverse. So to go to those functions, you just have to press the shift button, then we press on what we need, as you will see later on. Then using this calculator, the shift is called second function. So 2NDF, that is second function. Then you can get this one here. You can get here, that is where we have the sine, the cos, and the tan. This is where they are, as you can see. All right, so those are the things that we are talking about. Let's look at an example. For the triangles below, find the missing angles. All right, so the missing angles, we're supposed to find that angle there and that angle there. So I'm just going to demonstrate on how to calculate here using this angle here. Now, this one, because we have all the three sides here, it's just to decide which one you want. Remember, we have the saw. Okay, so we have the saw and we have the car. Okay, the saw, car, and then we have the toa. So saw, car, and we have the toa. All right, so here you can look, if we are considering angle B here, then this is going to be the opposite, then this one is going to be the adjacent. This one is forever the what? The hypotenuse. It does not change. So if I want to use this ratio to find this angle, I'm just going to say sine. So I say sine B, because B, that is the angle I want to find. So sine B is simply equal to, so what is there on the opposite? It's 5. So it will be 5 over the hypotenuse here, which is 13. So sine 5 over sine B is equal to that one. So now we are still going. So we continue. We write our sine B there. Okay, sine B is equal to, then you just punch on your calculator, simple division, 5 divided by 13, which will give us 0.3841. Please be punching through also. Don't just watch like a TV, okay? And so on and so forth. So you write all the figures. Now, remember, we are finding an angle. So in order for you to find an angle, from here, you are going to the next step, which is going to say sine, okay, inverse. You have to find the sine inverse of what? Of B. So sine inverse of B is equals to, then you are going to your calculator, okay? So to your calculator, let's go back to our calculator. So you are going to press this button, shift, and then after you press shift, you press sine here. And then when you press this sign here, it is going to bring on your screen of the calculator, this symbol is going to come. So when this symbol comes, then you just type in these numbers that are there. When you type in the numbers that are there, then you say is equals to, and you are going to find your angle B as 22.6 degrees to 1 decimal place. All right. If you want, because you have all the sides here, even if you use the car here, the answer will still be the same. So here you can also use, so this is just situation 1. Then in the second scenario, you can also use car, meaning it will be cos B, okay, cos B is equal to, so cos B now, you know that it will be adjacent over hypotenuse. So with respect to this angle, we know that this is our opposite and this is our adjacent and this is the forever hypotenuse. So this one will just be 12 divided by what? By 13. So this one, you continue. This one is going to be cos B, which will be equal to, so you divide this one, punch on the calculator, you're going to find 0.923. So this is 0.923, as well as some other numbers this side. Make sure you write all of them. Then you go to the next thing. Since you are whenever you are finding an angle, you have to go to this stage of finding the inverse. So cos inverse of B, and this one will be equal to, so again you do the same thing. You go to your calculator. If you're using a Casio, you just press on shift and then you press on cos. When it gives that sign, you punch in the numbers. Or if you're using this one, you just press on second function. That's when you press what? Cos. Thereafter, it will bring this one, and then you just key in these numbers, and you discover that it will still be 22.6 degrees to 1 decimal place. Okay, now in the exam, there won't be such simple situations where you have all the sides. No, it's either you are given this side and this side, or this side and this side. So you have to choose which ratio to use based on the information that you have been given. All right, so now I've just demonstrated on how to find this angle. Why? Because I can simply say angles in a triangle add up to 180. So I can just add this one plus this one. Then the answer I subtract it from 180 and find the missing side here. But even if I wanted to find the angle A, with respect to angle A, then this one will become the opposite. This one the adjacent. And then you can substitute appropriately. All right. So you can also go via that route. All right. There is also what we call some special angles. Now, in the case of mathematics paper 1, you are not supposed to use a calculator. So this is where these special angles are going to be very applicable. So you are supposed to master these angles in your head. Now, some things are not necessary to master. So I'm just going to tick. You're supposed to master this. You're supposed to master that. And you're supposed to master that. And that. So let me just master. So you're supposed to know sine 0. Okay, sine 0 is 0. Then you're also supposed to know sine 30. It's always 0.5, which is the same as half. Then you're also supposed to know sine 90, which is 1. Okay. Then when you go to cos, you're also supposed to know cos 0. Cos 0 is 1. Okay. Then you're also supposed to know cos 60. So cos 60 is the one that is 0.5. All right. And in the exam, they like it for some reason. Whatever, whether they bring sine 30 or they'll bring cos 30, it is very famous. So let's master it. Then cos 90 is actually 0. Okay, so at least let's know these ones, sine and cos. But if you have the capacity, you can master all these special angles. Sine rule, let's look at this triangle here. So sine rule, this one is applied when you are dealing with the non-right angled triangles. So this one can be used to finding a side or angles. All right, it can be used to find both sides and angles of non-right angled triangles. So, for example, when you are given this triangle A, B, and C, what you first have to do is first, this capital letter here is a vertex, or it represents the angles. So capital letters, they represent angles. So this capital letter, the opposite should be a small letter. So the small letter represents a side. Small letters represent a side. So the capital letter on the opposite, there should be a small letter. This capital letter on the opposite, there will be a small letter. This capital letter here on the opposite is a small letter. So now, if you want, me, I like this one because that's what I was taught. You can either use this one as A over sine A is equals to B over sine B, which is equals to C over sine C. Or you can start by writing these ones at the top, at the bottom, you write them at the top. The answer will still be the same. It is still acceptable. Now, in case someone is wondering, is it always that I'm going to have a triangle ABC? The answer is no. There will be certain situations where you have, let's give this triangle here. Okay, we give this triangle here, and it won't have ABC, but it has instead, it has Q, R. So let's just give it Q. Okay, R. So remember the vertex, we use capital letters. So this is Q, R, and W. Okay, so Q, R, and W. So meaning here, what you're going to do is this R here, the opposite here will be small letter R. Then this Q, the opposite will be small letter Q. This W, the opposite will be small letter W. Then the sine rule in this case can also become as this Q, okay, small letter Q over sine. Okay, so this is over sine Q. All right, is equal to R, okay, over sine r, okay, which is equal to w over sine w. Okay, so w over sine w. It can also be like that. So just follow the simple rules. The capital letters represent the angles, that's why they are written on the vertex. Then the opposite should be a small letter, which represents what? A side. All right, so stay tuned and see how we can apply the sine rule. But before we can go into solving an exam question using the sine rule, let me also just give a conclusion by saying the sine rule is used when we are given two angles and one side. Okay, so when you're given two angles and one side, then you can use the sine rule to find the other side or the other angle. All right, or a situation where you're given two sides and a non-included angle. So these are the situations in which you can use the sine rule. But there are other tips that I'll give unofficially, of course, but it has always worked. When you see that you are solving a non-right angle triangle and you are finding distance and the number of marks given to you is 4 marks, then automatically you know that I'm supposed to use the sine rule. So when you just see the 4 marks, it's sine rule. All right, stay tuned and see what I'm talking about.
Question 1 reads, three villages A, B, and C are connected by straight paths as shown in the diagram below. So we have A, B, and C. Alright, so this is what we have, and they are saying given that AB is 15 kilometers, angle ABC is equal to 79 degrees, and angle ABC is equal to 40 degrees. Calculate the distance AC. So, like I was saying, this is under trigonometry, and trigonometry, when calculating distances, it's either you're using the sine rule or the cosine rule. Alright, that is what works when it comes to these such type of triangles. Now, you also have to memorize the rules that you are given. For example, when you are given two angles and one side, and you are supposed to find another side or another angle, you can use the sine rule. Now, those things tend to be a little bit hectic to memorize. So, instead, what you can use is just a simple trick. It has been noticed from the past examination papers that, and other literatures, that whenever they give you 4 marks or less, then what you have to apply is what? Sine rule. But if they give you 5 marks and beyond, then you have to apply the what? The cosine rule. So that is a simple trick that you can be using in trying to discover which method to use, instead of you wasting time in exam trying to think, okay, when given two sides, whatever angle, don't even waste time. Just check the number of marks and let the number of marks guide you on what method you are going to use. Alright, so we have discovered that this is what this is the sine rule we are going to use. But before we can start solving the sine rule, then you have to also ensure that you label like this. This capital letter B, the opposite side will be small letter B. This is capital letter A, the opposite side will be small letter A, and so on until so forth. Then you write the sine rule. Okay, so this is the formula here. Then we know that the AC that we are finding is the same as B. That is the B that we have written there. Alright? Then you just have to pick two ratios. Either this one and this one, or that one and that one. So, because we are finding B, automatically we are choosing this one. Then you have to look at a complete side. Now, why can't we use A? A, quite alright, we don't have A, and we don't have the angle. So this one can't work, it is out. So C, we have the side C, and we have the angle C. So this one can definitely do what? It can definitely work. So now we substitute. So B there, it is going to remain as B over sine C, which is the angle there, sine 40 degrees. This one should be equal to, so C, okay, so this one was actually sine B, so it's 79, not 40. So this is 79. Have our 79 there, then our C, this is actually 15 kilometers, so this is 15 over our C there, which is 40 degrees, which is sine 40. Let's go to sine 40, then from there, you are going to do what? To cross multiply. So you cross multiply this one and that one. What you are going to have is B sine 40 is equal to, so B sine 40 is equal to 15 multiplied by sine 79. Alright, so this one we divide by sine 40. Even this side also you are going to divide by what? Sine 40. Alright, so this one and that one goes. Therefore, B is equal to, then on your calculator, you are going to place now 15. So you press 15 multiplied by sine. So there is a sign here on the calculator. You press there, so sine 79. And this one is giving us, 14.72440775. So we can round off this one to 14.7 kilometers, and we have found our side. Alright, then the next question simply says, calculate the area of triangle ABC. So triangle ABC. Now, area of a non-right angle triangle is given by the formula. So area is given by the formula half, okay, AB sine C. That is the formula. So half AB sine C. Alright, now what does it mean? Now we have two sides here. Since B we have, so we are saying this side now is 14.7 kilometers. Okay, then if you know you have this side, okay, so we have our this side we have this side. So the best thing that we have to do here is we have to also find this middle angle here. Now we can't use this angle because we don't have this side. If we had this side and this side, we would have used this angle. If we had this side and this side, we would have used this angle. But here we have this side and that side, so we have to find that angle. Now remember, angles in a triangle, they add up to 180. So we're just going to add this angle, we call it x. So we're just going to add x plus 79 plus 40 is equal to 180. Okay, so this is x plus, so we just add 79 here plus 40. So 79 plus 40, this is 119. So plus 119 is equals to what? 180. So this one will be x is equals to 180 minus what? 119. So x is equal to, so that is 180 minus 119. It is giving us 61 what? Degrees. So this angle here is finally what? 61 degrees. Alright, so we substitute in here. Area will be equal to half multiplied by our a here, our side, not any triangle A, we just put two sides, so you can say times 15, then times what? Times 14.7, then times sine 61, and you are going to find what? Your area. Alright, so we multiply here, we are saying 1 over 2 multiplied by 15 multiplied by 14.7 multiplied by sine 61. This one is giving us 96.42682271. So we can round off to one decimal place. This one will be 96.4 kilometer squared. So area is always in kilometer what? Squared. Alright, so that is what we have. Okay, so that is what we have, and the area we have found to be 96.4 kilometer squared. Alright, let me just clear the board to create some space for other questions. Okay, so the other question reads, calculate the shortest distance from B to AC. So from B to AC. Now, shortest distance is this distance. So you're going to draw a perpendicular line from there, like that. You draw a perpendicular line. So this is the shortest distance, the distance from here to there. So since it's a perpendicular line, you are going to call this one H. Okay? Then whenever you do this now, so always remember, when you are finding the shortest distance, you have to find the perpendicular distance, and you call that one what? H. So the moment you do that, there is another formula of the area that will come in, which is the area of a right angled what? Triangle. Alright, so area of a right angled triangle will be given by area is equals to half base height. Alright, so there are two areas that you are connecting here. Since area, you are from finding area on this question, you already know it as 96.4 kilometers. So you're just going to write this is your 96.4 kilometer squared is equals to half multiplied by your base. You already have the base AC, you already found it to be 14.7 kilometers. So this is 14.7 kilometers. Then multiplied by h. Okay? So we solve this one to be 96.4 is equal to, so you can multiply this 14.7 multiplied by half, so 14.7 multiplied by 0.5, which is the same as half. This one is giving us 7.35 times h to be h. And we divide by 7.35. Then this side we divide by 7.35. This one and that one. And we are saying 96.4 divided by 7.35. This one is giving us h being equal to 13.11564626. Alright, therefore h is equals to 13.1 kilometers. So this is the shortest what? Distance. Alright, so that is what happens when sorting out such questions. Alright, let's proceed. We go to the next question, which says solve the equation cos theta is equals to that one. So what you're going to do is you are just going to write this one. Cos theta is equal to that is 0.937. So if you want to find this theta here, this theta means an unknown angle. So if you want to know that angle, you're just going to say cos inverse of theta is equal to. So when you go to your calculator, you are going to do shift. So on your calculator, there is a shift button. So you are going to press shift. Okay, you ensure that it shows shift. So shift, then you go to where it says cos here. So when you press on cos, you see that what I've written here will even appear on the calculator. Then after it appears, then you press the 0.937. Then you say equal to. Then it is giving me 20.44630112. Alright, now let's check. This is the angle that we have found. Now they are saying 0 is less or equal to theta, theta is less or equal to. So meaning the answer that you are finding should be between 0 and 360. Of which when you check here, you discover that this is between. So our theta is fine and equal to 20.4. Alright, so that is how you find this one. So, question C simply reads, sketch the graph of y is equal to sine theta. For 0 is less or equal to 360. So what you have to do here is just simply sketching the graph. Now, in here, I know we are answering the question, so let me include something in the question so that we have C1 and C2. So that we do the one for, because there are only two graphs that they will ask you. The one for sine theta and the one for cos theta. So the first one is let's do a sketch of y is equals to sine what? Sine theta. So they've given us from 0 to 360. So what you do is simply do this. You're going to make your x and your y coordinates like that. Then what you're going to do here, you are going to make your coordinates like that. That is the first thing. So you are going to write now the angles. You start, write 0, then from 0 you go to 90, from 90 you go to 180, from 180 you go to 270 until finally you reach what? 360. So this is how the angles they move. So we are just adding by 90. 0 plus 90, 90. 90 plus 90, 180. 180 plus 90, 270. 270 plus 90, 360. And 360 is the complete what? revolution. So since you are dealing with sine theta, then you begin to punch on your calculator now. You start with sine 0. So when you punch there, it will be sine 0 is equal to what? 0. So sine 0 is equal to 0. Then you go to sine 90. So this is sine 90, which is equals to 1. Okay. Then you go to sine 180. Sine 180, which is equals to 0. Then you go to sine 270. Sine 270, which is equals to negative 1. Then finally you do sine 360, which is equals to 0. Alright, so these are the values that you have. Then you sketch the x or y plane. Okay, the x or y like that. So this is my y there. Then here I'm going to have my x. So in the x I have from 0 to 360. So this is my 0. Then I go to 90. Then I go to 180. Then from there I go to 270. Then from 270 I now go to what? 360. Alright. Then in here I just have 0, 1, 0, negative 1. So I just have negative 1, 0, and 1. So this is 0 already. So definitely this one has to be the 1. You can put it anywhere since it is sketching. Then the negative 1 will definitely be at the bottom here. Then you begin to sketch. The first point is 0, 0, which is right here. Then the next one is 90, 1. So 90, 1 will meet somewhere there, which is there. Then you go to 180, 0, which is there. Then you go to 270, negative 1, that is at the bottom here. 270 and negative 1, which is this one. Then 360, 0, which is this one here. Then you join it freehand with the pencil, of course. Okay, so freehand, but for this one and that one you can use the ruler. Then for joining, you use freehand, which will go like that until finally it reaches there and you have sketched. It's that simple and straightforward. You have sketched the graph. Okay, so let me also take this opportunity to also sketch the graph of cos. Okay, so in paper 2, you are going to have a calculator like this, so it will be easier to write these things. But for paper 1, there is what we call the special angles. So these special angles, you are supposed to memorize them. Okay, memorize the special angles. For example, cos 60. Sine 30, all those are special angles, and including some of these that are here, you are supposed to memorize in your head. If I just wake up and say, okay, what is sine 180? You should be able to tell me 0. What is cos, for example, if I say cos 0, even up to today, I still remember that cos 0, it should be 1. Okay, let's give it a try. So the graph for sine theta is this one. Let's try also now the graph for what? For cos theta. Okay, so the procedure is the same, except that in here there will be different values. Okay, so we are now doing for cos theta. So here, instead of having the sine, we are now going to have the cos theta. So we have cos theta, right? So we have the cos theta there, and then what we'll be doing is we start now cos 0. So cos 0, this one is 1, like I said. Then we go to cos 90. So cos 90, and this one will give us a value of 0. Then we go to cos 180, which will give us the value of negative 1. Then we go to cos 270. So cos 270, which will give us a 0. And then we go to cos 360. Which will definitely give us a 1, I'm sure. So cos 360, it will give us a 1. Okay, so we do the same. Our y there and our x. So this is our 0, that is our 90, that is our 180, that is 270, and finally we have 360. So in here we just have a 1 there and negative 1. So here there is just negative 1, 0, and 1. Then we begin to plot. So the first one is 0, 1. So 0, 1, which is this point there. Then 90, 0 is right here. Then 180, negative 1, which is right here. Then 270, 0, right here. Then 360, 1, which will be right there. Then we join these points. Okay? So join these points, and that is how our graph would come out.
Cosine rule is another rule under trigonometry that is used to find also the missing sides and angles of a non-right angled triangle. All right, so let's look at this triangle, for example, ABC. Of course, by now you know that the capital letter A, the opposite small letter A, and the small letter represent the sides, the capital letter will represent the what? Will represent the angle. All right, so for this one, these are the formulas that we can come up with. We can say a squared is equals to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. So it's just about following the pattern. Look at this one. This one, when you start with a, meaning even at the end here, it should be capital letter A. All right. So when you start with a, here there should be the others that are missing. Then minus, you just put these two together. So that is how easy it is to memorize the what? The formula. All right, so this one is b squared. You've seen, we've written a squared plus c squared minus, so we just say 2, the same one, a and c, so 2ac then cos b. So because we started with b, even here it will be a capital letter b. Even c, it will be the same. All right, so these formulas that are here are useful when you are finding what? Are useful when you are finding a side. How about when you are finding an angle? So when you are finding an angle, you have to make this part here, cos A, you make it the subject of the formula. All right, so when making it the subject of the formula, maybe let me just demonstrate that one. Let me just demonstrate. So when making the subject of the formula, let's say this one here, we want to make cos A the subject of the formula. So what you're going to do is, this one will be A squared, okay? Then this b will cross over here, so minus b squared, okay? Then minus c squared, because the c. Now making this one, we want this one to remain on its own, so everything else should go this side. So this one has gone, then this one will be equal to minus 2 b c cos a, okay? Now this cos A is together, this minus 2bc cos A is together. So what do? You're just going to divide over minus 2b and c. All right, so what you do this side, you're also going to do that side. So this is minus 2b and c, so that this one will cancel with this one. We've only remained with cos A. Now what happens here? Remember, if we've not written any sign, then this is a positive. So positive divided by negative, it will give us what? Negative. Okay, so this one is going to be minus a squared. Then this negative and the negative will give us positive, so it becomes plus. Then also this negative and this negative, it also, this is plus b squared. Then this negative and this negative, it also gives us plus c squared. So over 2b c, and this one should be equal to cos A. All right, cos A. Now let's write it from the top due to lack of space. So now we are not supposed to start with a negative. So this is how come we're going to start with these ones first. So we write it as cos A. Okay, cos A is equal to, so we start with a b squared there. So this is b squared plus c squared. Okay, b squared plus c squared minus a squared. Then this one is over 2bc. So this is how come they are coming up with these formulas. So we use these ones when finding an angle. All right. Same applies also, like I said in the previous sign rule. I said it's not always that they will give you these letters A, B, C, but they can give you, for example, like I said, let's use P here, and we put Q, and we put what? R. So these things will change. Where there is Q here, we are going to have a small letter Q. Where there is R, we're going to have a small letter R. Where there is P, we're going to have small letter P. So if we are making formulas, let's use P for example. It is just going to be P squared. Okay, P squared is equals to Q squared plus R squared. Okay, then minus 2 Q R cos, so 2QR cos we started with this one, so it will be cos P here. Okay, so this one will be cos P. All right, so Other letters will also work. Just know how it flows, how the formula is coming about. That is how best it can happen. All right. When do we use cosine rule? So cosine rule is used when we are given either three sides, okay, when we are given either three sides or two sides and the included angle. Now, that is the standard one, but as we are going to be solving the exam, always remember when we are solving a side in a non-right angle triangle and they've given the number of marks to be 5 marks, then automatically you know you are supposed to use the cosine rule. So let's not waste time in the exam. When you are given 5 marks, use cosine rule. When you are given less than 5 marks, for example, 4, which is famous, then it's sine rule. So 4 marks, sine rule. 5 marks, cosine rule. All right, 5 marks, cosine rule. 4 marks, sine rule. That is how you are supposed to do it. All right, we are talking about cosine rule. Just stay tuned and see from this sample question on how you can apply it in solving questions.
Alright, so question 2 reads, the diagram below shows a triangle KMN in which KM is equals to 8 kilometers, MN is equals to 10 kilometers, and KMN is equals to 92 degrees. The first question says calculate KN. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to know if this is capital letter M, then the opposite is this small letter. This one, small letter. This one, small letter K. Alright. Then, like I said, if you just notice that the number of marks is 5, you don't need to start thinking over and over. What you just need to do is just know that you're using cosine rule if it is 5 marks. So if that be the case, then we are going to write, since we are finding M here, so since we know that Kn is the same as N, then we know that N squared will be equal to K squared, okay, so M squared rather, this is M, so we have M squared is equal to K squared plus N squared minus 2 Kn, then cos K, cos M, okay, so capital letter M. That will be what? The formula. So we substitute, we are going to have our K there, which is 10 squared plus 8 squared minus 2, open brackets. This is 10 multiplied by 8 multiplied by cos 90 what? So we have cos 92. So we solve this one, 10 squared plus 8 squared, that is 164. So before you can write the sign there, you can just say, okay, minus 2, then inside the brackets there, you multiply, that is 10 multiplied by 8 multiplied by cos 92, which is giving us negative 2.791959736. And negative and negative, so this one will be 164 plus multiplied by negative 2, that one will give us plus 5.58391947.2. So you add this together. Remember, you pick the M squared, you continue with it, M squared. So this one is M squared is equals to 169. So you add 169 plus 5.58391947.2. So this one you add 164, it gives you 169.58391995. So square root there, and your M is equals to, so the square root of answer, which will give us 13.02243908. Rounding off this one, it will just be 13 kilometers. Alright, so this one is in 13 kilometers. Alright, so we proceed. That is 13 kilometers. We go to B, they are saying we find the area of triangle KMN, which is the same thing that we did even in the next, in the previous question. So we are saying area is equal to half that is nk, then sine 92. Alright, so this one will simply be half multiplied by 10 multiplied by 8 multiplied by sine 92. So we punch that one on the calculator. We are saying this is 0.5 multiplied by 10 multiplied by 8 multiplied by sine 92. So this is sine 92, and we have our 39.9, which can be rounded off to 40 kilometer square.